Hey guys, um, I just want to talk to you about anxiety and cannabis again because something happened last night that was kind of cool. I've been working on a lot of self reflection and like how can I make a difference in the world after some stuff I've been through? How can I advocate for mental health? How can I get the message out that there's good ways to use God's plant and there's for lack of a better word, mis actually this is a pretty good word, misuse of God's plant, cannabis, and I've been working on a lot of things. When I finally realized and couldn't deny it anymore that I'm gay, um, at first it felt like, and I've mentioned this in other videos before, but it felt like yes, I don't have to be um, um, ashamed and angry and bitter and like whenever I hooked up with a friend, um, like a lot of the people I know, unfortunately, they go, well, I'm not gay, and then the ones that I do know that I've been with and they are gay, they were in a different place in terms of relationship than I wanted to be, and I was trying to fool myself and say, well, I don't want a relationship. I'll just have a good, little bit of time every now and then with a friend, blah, blah, blah. And so when I finally came out, the reason I'm saying all that is when I finally came out, I was like, okay, now I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to have relationships. No, there was still a lot of programming that I need, reprogramming that I need to do within. Because I thought, okay, I'm just going to jump into a relationship, everything's going to be better. And then I realized recently that I didn't need to, and I could just work on me and let it happen naturally and do my work and quit trying to, find my place as an artist, quit trying to find my place as an advocate, quit trying to find my relationship. I was trying to do too much at once. So it was almost leading to another nervous breakdown or a different form of a nervous breakdown this time because it was emotional and it was draining. And I was trying to fool myself after somebody that I was with occasionally. They went on to do something different with their life. And then there was somebody else that I got associated with that they only called me for one-on-one time when they wanted to call me, which I'm okay with that. But when I call you once in a while, you gotta reciprocate, and that's why I said, okay, I can only work on one thing at a time. If you try to take on too much, then you don't pay attention to the phrase in scripture where God never gives us more than we can handle. So I kind of took a step back and I started refocusing on my work. And after 2 years of meditating on it, I finally realized what kind of Christmas story I wanted to tell that was about God and not about little elves and stuff. Now, I think that's a cool part of Christmas. It can feed your kids' imagination. Um, it can feed your Christmas spirit. It can bring you back to being a kid with Santa and watching Frosty and Rudolph and all that. So all these little things were coming to me every now and then. And but I was still, yesterday I had a bad anxiety day. Um, I was working a little bit. I was making phone calls. I was being productive. But in the back of my mind all day, something was just bothering me. And with the winter weather coming, uh, I I couldn't figure out what was bothering me. So, because I thought, well, I'm fine. I realized I don't need a relationship right now. And but why do I still feel off about being true to who I am? And I talked to a conservative pastor, and he misjudged this situation. He was like, "Well, you're not walking true with God. You're not this. You're not that. And you're living a double life. And no, I just realized man misused God's words to control, and he's just teaching what he knows and what he feels. Do I fault him for that? No, because when you grow up learning something your whole life and truly believing in God, which is great, but misunderstanding little bits and pieces, then you can be you can miss the true message of God's words and all that. So, am I offended a little bit? Yes, I am. But I try to remind myself he's just spitting off what he's been taught. So, and what he feels is true to his heart. And that's, hopefully God will open his eyes. But when he started saying to me, well, you need to only talk about the medical and stop talking about the uses of God's plan. And I said, so you're denying God put weed, you're denying God put cannabis on this plant for us? And he's like, no, I'm not denying that. But people misuse it, and now they're using it and saying it helps them connect with God. And if I take a Tylenol because I got a headache and I can't focus on prayer, am I going to say that Tylenol helps my scriptural walk with God? No. But again, Tylenol was a man-made drug. Okay? So for him to use that is very telling, as an example. And for me, all day yesterday, something was just bothering me, and I couldn't figure it out because I thought I had figured out all the pieces to the puzzle. And by the way, there is no such phrase as all the pieces to the puzzle. Because you're going to get a different piece to the puzzle every day. And the puzzle pieces might change a bit as your eyes are opened. But you got to stick to the truth and to the golden rule. Any religion or any religion or faith or whatever you want to call it must stick to the golden rule. That's where the Muslim faith can be, or any faith can be mutated once in a while. You got people killing in the name of Allah, and no. From what I have read of the Quran, or not read but listened to via audio, it never says to go out and kill the Western world. So anybody that's corrupted by misuse of religion right now, please reach out to open-minded people. Don't reach out to people that want to hurt. It's got to be, you got to stick to the golden rule. But I couldn't figure out what was bothering me yesterday. I really, really couldn't. And I felt like, and I've said it before, that the flood of my emotions of finally being true and being happy with being gay, as long as I don't, walk away from the golden rule, is good, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, like, near about, I think, 8 o'clock at night, I realized, wait, for me to sit there and say when I first walked to God and came to God, or whatever you want to call it, I ignored being gay for 3-4 years, was a lie to myself, because I had been with friends, and then I had felt guilty about it afterwards. So I was conflicted, and I felt like God was gonna send me to hell for being with a friend, a consenting friend, and everything. And I realized yesterday that for me to think that this flood, once I finally said, okay, I'm gay and that's it, was new. It wasn't new. It just took a different a different a different level now, because now I didn't have to be so secretive about it and feel like, because when I did tell the pastor, hey, I fell, uh, uh, I had a moment with a friend, uh, and we were, it was consensual, and his he came over and we spent time, and then he was praying away the spirit of being gay. I felt shame. And then every time that I connected with this friend, we're like those people that, this is the best way to say it. We're like those people that, we we have our little quickie and then it's done. Which on one level I didn't like, because I want more than a quickie. But at the same time, there was something about the act of being with a consenting friend that just, I felt accepted. And I felt true. But then when he left, I felt shame, because God's watching me now. God's staring at me, and God's peeved. And I realized, after finally 8 o'clock last night and finally snapping and smoking some cannabis, I realized that give me a second, I lost my train of thought. I realized after smoking last night that about the different level. And now I didn't need to feel lonely and feel crutch. And I didn't need to feel shame about a year ago when this friend would come over and visit. But at the same time, if I didn't smoke last night, I probably would still be tossing and turning. Do I think that weed gave me the answer? No. I think that smoking allowed my mind to calm down, and for me to realize, okay, for me to deny I was being who I was shortly after I attended church, and then not admit it to the pastor sometimes because I felt like he was going to preach at me and condemn me. That was wrong. So smoking helped me to realize that this was a different level, and I can let go of feeling like it was such a flood, because it was a flood of emotions, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as overwhelming as I've made it sound in the past. And that's why I say sometimes these videos are going to reveal some things to me, and other times these videos are going to reveal other things to me that I need to realize, like, hey, it wasn't as bad as I made it sound before. This was one level God wanted you to learn, and this was another level God wanted you to learn. So that's why I say smoking helps me to calm down and realize what God's trying to show me, and quit trying to kid myself. And now I realize even more, I don't need a relationship. I don't care at this point. Now, a year from now, maybe I'll meet somebody, maybe I will care. But like I said before, God doesn't give us more than we can handle.